Hello everyone on today's IRS tax update. With the start of the tax season now just 2 weeks away, we will recap the latest information as we prepare for another tax season, including millions who are going to see automatic delays with their tax refunds, even if they file early. So we will take a look at who exactly will be impacted by this. Meanwhile, for those still waiting on last year's tax refunds, we will check in on the latest, including those who had their tax refunds issued only to see them returned back to the IRS by tax processor TPG. Now, as we close in on the upcoming tax season, it is important to note that if you're among the millions of early tax filers who are claiming the Earned Income Tax Credit and/or Child Tax Credit, that the processing of your tax return and issuing of refund will automatically be put on hold until at least mid-February. Now, the hold is as a result of due to the PATH Act, which is federal law that states the IRS cannot process tax returns claiming those credits until mid-February, to allow time to verify if the taxpayer is in fact eligible to receive refunds from those credits, despite this being the law for many years. Now, this is always a huge source of confusion at the start of every tax season, especially with some taxpayers spreading misinformation that they in fact received their Earned Income Tax Credit or Child Tax Credit refund before mid-February, when that is not legally possible. If you are claiming these credits, you can still file early, and your tax return will sit in the unprocessed queue until mid-February, however. While the IRS maintains they process tax returns in the order in which they are received, that is not always true. A number of early Earned Income Tax Credit or Child Tax Credit filers who are viewers of this channel have stated they will no longer file before mid-February, after experiencing extended delays with their refunds. The taxpayers in the end had nothing wrong with their tax returns. But what ended up happening was, as a result of so many people filing their taxes early claiming those credits, that a number of tax returns simply got overlooked in the backlog, which caused additional weeks and months worth of delays, and the IRS will not clarify the reason behind such a delay nor address it with the taxpayer. If you are an early tax filer claiming those credits, you should not expect to see any updates to your refund status results or tax transcripts to around February 13th, at which point you will start to see movement when it comes to your tax return. The bulk of tax refunds for those early tax filers claiming those credits will start to be issued as direct deposit refunds and paper check refunds in early March, though it is likely we can start to see some refunds being issued during the last week of February. So again, for those of you claiming the Earned Income Tax Credit or Child Tax Credit, take into consideration exactly when you want to file your tax return. And note your tax return may not be processed in the order in which it was received, even if you filed at the start of the tax season. For those of you who use some of the major tax processors like TurboTax or TaxSlayer when filing your taxes, we have been covering a story for the last several months impacting as number of taxpayers using those companies when it comes to their tax refunds. Now, these companies, among others, use a third-party company called TPG, also known as Santa Barbara Tax Products Group, to process those tax refunds for them. Now what is happening is we have received numerous reports of TPG returning certain tax refunds back to the IRS so that they could be sent out as paper checks or for no apparent reason holding partial or entire tax refunds from someone. Now, simple research will show this has been a reoccurring problem for many years now, so unfortunately, this is not a new problem. However, if you are impacted by this, your refund delays could be extended several weeks to many months. If TPG returns the refund back to the IRS without being flagged, expect that refund to be mailed out to your address on file in the form of a paper check within 4 to 6 weeks. Or if the refund is sent back to the IRS as flagged, then you could be looking at over 4 months to resolve the issue, as those refunds go back to the Return Integrity Verification Operations Unit at the IRS, who will then go back and thoroughly examine the tax return in question. Now, the common pattern we are seeing is that those refunds with larger amounts, at least several $1,000s, are at time viewed as suspicious by the tax processor who does not want to release the funds themselves. There are instances where this process actually does stop illegitimate refunds from being sent out. So it does work, however. It does also hurt those with legitimate refunds simply based on the dollar amount. We have seen an increase of scrupulous tax preparers promising large refunds by claiming false credits, which oftentimes will be discovered by the IRS either at the time of processing or a review of a tax return, even years later. Now, if you use those major tax processors, there is no way to avoid TPG, so it may be worth considering the new IRS free e-file system, which will debut this month as an alternative, and this platform does not use TPG. For those inquiring how to find out if your refund was sent back as flagged, please contact either the IRS or the TPG customer service number, as they have been informing taxpayers about the status. If you were among the 4.7 million tax filers who were charged late payment penalties for your 2020 or 2021 income taxes, the IRS has announced they will be waiving roughly $1 billion worth of late payment penalties for balances under $100,000 for tax returns filed in 2020 and 2021. Now, if you already paid those penalties, the IRS will be issuing you out a refund for the amount you paid in penalties, which averages about $206 per return. Or if you had not paid those penalties, they will simply be removed from your account. Now there is no action necessary on your part, and this penalty relief is automatic. However, please note, if you still have unpaid balances from tax year 2020 or 2021, that these failure to pay penalties will resume once again on April 1st, 2024. If you are eligible to receive a check, it is expected to be issued separately and not included with your regular tax refund. Please monitor your tax transcripts and expect to see the 846 transcript code when it is issued. Now, with the tax season about to begin, we have already heard from viewers that their employers have begun issuing out those appropriate tax forms. Please keep in mind that employers and businesses have until the end of January to issue out all related tax forms, and you should wait up until mid-February to receive them before contacting the IRS. However, if you do not have the forms by the first week of February, please contact the employer or business in question to inquire on the status. Most larger businesses have now opted to send those forms electronically rather than by mailing them. If your employer or former employer is not providing these tax forms, please contact the IRS at the phone number listed here for assistance, as they will assist in obtaining the necessary tax forms. We will once again be resuming multi-week videos until the end of the tax season in mid-April. Now, we do expect this tax season to run smoother than last year, with a huge improvement over the 2022 tax season, which was one of the worst on record. We are expecting some of those claiming tax credits, such as the Earned Income Tax Credit and the Child Tax Credit, to experience delays beyond the PATH Act, mainly due to audits. We also expect delays due to the need to complete identity verification as well. Unfortunately, illegitimate tax returns being filed will cause delays for even those of you with legitimate tax returns, as it slows down IRS processing when additional review is required. Let us know in the comment section below about your ongoing tax issue. In the meantime, we will keep monitoring the situation for further developments, so make sure to click on the thumbs up and subscribe button below for future updates on this channel, and thanks for watching.